Our story continues with the shocking return of Ultra Gogeta onto the battlefield.
Yeah, Ultra
Gogeta
okay.
to be exact, after months of not appearing in the UV series, and returns with several notable changes, including 2 demon horns not present before, and both a Seraphim Eye and Demon Eye in tow also.
Okay.
As instantly, all 4 of the previous Saiyans on the battlefield react in a mixture of shock and confusion at the appearance of what seems like the wrong fusion, as Gogeta would just let out, "How interesting. So this is what the Goku and Vegeta of this timeline look like. I prefer you with the shorter hair, Prince." But starting to realize
the
exactly
shorter
who the
hair?
figure is, the closer he walks towards them, the Saiyans would begin to grow wide-eyed, reacting further individually, as Goku would mutter, "Gogeta! But how? Is this some kind of trick?" As Vegeta would whisper, "No, this is no trick. I can sense our energies, Kakarot. Vegito, you must have used that button in there." But Yamoshi, who would be the only one remaining cool-faced, would just question, "Now, who is this supposed to be? Another Saiyan? I don't remember him from the inside, but his appearance seems to elicit fear in the others. Interesting. He reminds me a little of the God Killer." But perhaps unsurprisingly, the most shocked on realization
PTSD.
would actually be Broly, whom of course fought and suffered defeat to Gogeta decades ago, as he would mumble, "Gogeta, it's you!" But Gogeta, taking notice of Broly in particular, would then quickly turn his gaze towards the legendary Saiyan, none the wiser, and query with a smirk, "What's wrong, kid? You look like you've seen a ghost. Do I know you? I don't seem to remember your face. Oh well, hopefully that same fear translates to Zeno." Before continuing his confident smirk, the Fused Saiyan would then tilt his head to the sky, looking towards Dark, saying, "Regardless, have no fear. Whether you know who I am or not, I've been training with Vegito for the last few years now, on top of the training I've done in my own timeline. And just take it from me, don't even worry about this little kid up there anymore. When the God Killer finally comes back out, this will all be over."
Yeah, he was training with Vegeta. So.
In fact, I've leveled up enough in just his presence that I'll be able to handle this one all by myself. What? Huh? This last line immediately leaving Goku and Vegeta perplexed, who even in their all-new powerful forms stood no chance against Dark's full power. With Vegeta immediately aggravated, shouting, "Preposterous! Vegito got that strong, even without us inside of him? You may be the fusion of me and Kakarot, but you obviously have no idea who you're dealing with right now. The separate powers of each of us could only take this light fellow this far, and he has more forms to go, it seems. Combining them in you is not going to make a difference. You're out of your mind." While meanwhile, Goku, now more serious, would agree and add, Vegeta is right, Gogeta. I get the feeling you're underestimating Light. Trust me, that kid is something else.
They keep calling
Not
him a
even
kid.
sure Vegito will be enough without us. But regardless, I need to know how you're even here. I didn't see you in the chamber at all, and I was training with Vegito for over 10 years. But Gogeta would just giggle in response, as he would then explain, I see you're a little more simple-minded than the Goku of my time. But it's simple, really. It's because I was brought in after you left. That is when Vegito summoned me, using a summoning button all destroyers have, modeled after Zeno's, which I gave him when he first stumbled into my timeline. I've been training ever since, for the time to come help complete his mission. But even I didn't expect it when it suddenly did happen. Before then unleashing his arms wide in pride and continuing, and from there, the training begun. Over and over. Mind you, when I arrived, the gap wasn't too large. After all, I'd been non-stop training in my own timeline since he left anyway. That was his final request to me. So really, I've been training even longer than Vegito and you guys. But ultimately, after years of battle, both of us ascended to untold new heights. It's just typical of him. His ascension was just on a whole different level. You'll all see eventually. Before Gogeta would then turn to Goku in particular, explaining, in there, I even got my own taste of the Seraphim. Not advanced as yours for sure, but seems all that time with Vegito, he was able to pick up and teach me the basics from just watching you alone. He really is some kind of genius. Vegeta's side, I guess. But talking of Vegeta, with his arms folded, the prince would have his own digressions, asking, that's all well and good, but what about the demon horns? From what we know, what Kakarot has is still just a technique that can be learned. But these horns are from the committing of a cardinal sin, right? What gives with yours? Before the devious change in tone, Ultra Gogeta would duck his head down and let out, yeah, a cardinal sin. I've heard about that from Whis. I guess the biggest of which is killing a god. And that is exactly what I did. I killed Beerus too.
Oh, what?
Huh? What? Beerus? Instantly raising alarms,
Oh, wow.
and creating more questions than answers.
So he ended up
As
killing
all
him at the
three
end.
of the
Okay.
Universe 7 Saiyans then react in complete disbelief. Before Goku would finally then regain his composure and ask thoroughly, that can't be true. That would mean you're a god killer too. Wouldn't the same thing that happened to us happen to you too? But Gogeta would just explain, not necessarily, Goku. Context is everything. When the Vegeta of your timeline killed Beerus, it was during a spar. During Beerus's current reign as a god. That is what triggered the other 11 to do what they eventually did. For better or for worse. A cardinal sin is one thing, but it's entirely different to break the rules of the realm. Murdering in cold blood a god required for maintaining the balance of the universe and its mortal levels. Before then folding his arms and adding, but in my case, the situation was different. I had already been given the title of New God of Destruction of Universe 7. When I learned the news from Vegito about Beerus's involvement in our home planet's destruction and the true nature of these gods, I decided to kill him once Vegito had left. But I did so as one God of Destruction to another. Something allowed since ancient times in the realm of the mortals. There was no punishment for me, and when I eventually relinquished my title of God of Destruction, my mortality was returned, along with my ability to bring out these demon horns for being a god killer.
That's interesting.
Now another has taken my place as the new God of
Hey, yo, is that
Destruction.
ooh?
And I am free to do as
that's
I
ooh,
please
okay.
over here. As surprisingly, the new God of Destruction of the GT timeline is revealed to be none other than Marc. And meanwhile, Broly hearing this would then just concur, adding, as a God of Destruction myself, I can confirm what he's saying. One destroyer killing another is not frowned upon, but more just a show of dominance. But regardless,
And that's interesting. So
Gogeta,
if he didn't relinquish
you are
that
making
God
a
of Destruction
big
stuff,
mistake
he
underestimating
wouldn't have
light.
drawn those horns, is what he's
He
saying?
is nothing like any of us has ever seen before. And judging by the power I can sense from you, you are only marginally stronger than the rest of us. But Gogeta, still smirking, now with his eyes closed, would just confidently dismiss the Saiyan, replying, like nothing you've seen before. How ironic, because not only did you act like you'd seen me earlier, but you also now dare try to gauge my strength. Strength I haven't even begun to showcase. Huh? Confusing Broly as he fails to understand what Gogeta could mean with both a Seraphim Eye and Demon Eye already activated. Allow me to show you what I learned training with the God Killer!
Okay.
As suddenly, with an uncharacteristically demonic roar from Gogeta, the fused Saiyan would begin screaming to the high heavens as his eyes explode wide and thick saliva forcefully spurts out of his mouth. And as his body would change, growing furrier and furrier, his fusion jacket would explode straight off, as if made of glass, along with a demonic tail that sprouts
Oh,
forth.
what?
And as he continues his raucous transformation,
Oh, he has
the
that
white
demon form
shawl
too?
of fur would grow beneath his neck, resembling a certain other Saiyan. As over his two different
Oh,
eyes,
what?
now a purple scar would run across his entire face. Welcome to the first half Seraphim, half Demon in history! As unbelievably, on his final transformation, the double-horned demon would possess not only black lightning, surrounding his black-furred left side, but also an entire
I did not think he was gonna get
right
that far.
side,
Wow.
complete with his angelic seraphim eye and white lightning to match, as he glances at Broly and says ominously, "Never doubt me again!" As Vegito's power-up would then just continue to change the very landscape around him, creating air pressure, wind, and debris that rushes forward towards the watching on Goku and Vegeta. That! Leaving true demon of destruction Vegeta first to be left gobsmacked at the power of his GT counterparts, muttering in disbelief, "That's a complete true demon form, just like Vegito's! No, it's gone even further than his!" As Seraphim Goku would comment more composed, "This is crazy, Vegeta. Even with that demonic transformation, he's perfectly maintaining his Seraphim eye. So this is what would have happened if I could tap into Lucid's power just like you guys." Dark, meanwhile, with his now spiked up hair and half black body, would also observe from distance with trepidation, finding yet another powerful step up in challenge, as he would whisper to himself, "This is a mortal, a Saiyan. This is utterly outrageous. Never have I seen a Seraphim combined with a demon. Could this be a Nephilim?" But soon enough,
Nephilim,
all of
okay.
Gogeta's aura would then unleash and dissipate in an instant, as getting into fighting stance quickly, he would say abruptly, "Nepha what now? Whatever, brat. I haven't got all day like this. In fact, I'm not sure I have very long at all. So if you're done chirping away, let's get this party started!" As suddenly, the two-sided warrior would launch himself at the two-sided fifth of the five strongest. While Dark, with his two black eyes with white pupils, would remain completely unmoving on his approach, just staring deep into his eyes and continuing to say under his breath, "A Nephilim in this realm?" And as Gogeta would get closer and closer, Dark would answer his own question, saying, "Not a chance." As Gogeta's humongous punch would then finally make contact, but within the palm of Dark, who is neither shaken nor even pushed back in the slightest. Wow! And having had his first ever exchange with Light, Gogeta would comment with a smirk, "Looks like they weren't lying. Seems you can at least take a half-powered punch." As while saying this, his body would begin to vanish. As similarly, an unimpressed Dark would also begin to disappear, while saying back, "You're neither half Seraphim or half Demon. Just a poor attempt at both, molded into a weak mortal." "Being a mortal is all I need to deal with the likes of you!" As when they both simultaneously reappear, Gogeta would have already rotated his body entirely, ready to slam his right leg instead. Just another violent beast. When will you learn? You are too weak to even make me feel a thing! Angering Dark as he is forced to raise his arm once more to block something seemingly pointless. But on impact, even Dark would notice something had changed as Vegito grumbles. Hold on a sec, kid. You didn't think I'd try my best from the start, did you? I'm half Goku! As now, with Vegeta standing still unmoved, the tables would turn in his favor, as Dark is sent moving away across town by his feet and eventually stopping using his light arm. Dark, still looking fairly emotionless, would just grunt at the sudden change, but still not respecting Vegeta's power. As the few Saiyan looking back, still with his leg in the air, would goad him saying, "Don't act so cool. We both know you felt that. Like I said, time is of the essence. So show me what you've really got." Gladly, Saiyan. As instantly, on Gogeta's command, Dark would then lift up his blackened hand straight to his face, as if summoning something. Leading to Vegeta, instantly with his senses intact, picking up something approaching him from both sides. As suddenly, boulders seemingly strengthened by Dark's own telekinetic abilities crash straight into Gogeta's body.
I was not expecting
With such strength and force, his body would begin to contort and become crushed no matter how hard he pushes back. What are you doing? Stop! As more and more strengthened matter would then collide and push further and further to trap the demonic Saiyan, as he tries his utter best to claw himself out. Unfortunately though, in the end, all cracks are filled, and the third God Killer is left imprisoned within Dark's pseudo-prison, as the fifth would cockily comment, "Begone, worm. I tire of you wannabes. Bring me the God Killer!" As now pleased with himself, a smile would finally crack on Dark's face, as he adds, "Light, you were a fool for wasting so much time relying on your pitiful power. As embarrassing as it is to call upon me for mere mortals, just look how easily they are dispatched of once I'm involved. When the God Killer is out, I will use him as bait to bring Dai forth, and then I will have my revenge."
Okay.
But as Dark
he does
would
not
have a
like
monologue
Dai
with
for some odd
himself,
reason.
from within the darkness of the stone prison, two very noticeable eyes would begin to be seen, before suddenly beams of light would begin to shine through and cause the prison to crumble ever so slightly until... Meteor explosion! With his arms outstretched to the sky, true Seraphim Demon Gogeta would call upon one of his signature moves and completely obliterate the rocks entrapping him, whether strengthened by Dark's energy or not, as every little trace and particle is erased to dust by his fierce energy alone. Much better. It was getting tight in there. Don't you know I'm claustrophobic?
As Gogeta would just then stay in the air as all the destruction of his attacks falls to the ground around him and below, where Dark would be watching thoroughly incensed by his interruption. As looking on seriously at the Fuse Saiyan, he would say,
Maybe I underestimated these worms after all. I think I can understand why they gave you problems, Light. What a compliment!
as Gogeta, now free and looking down with a smile, would let out,
Trust me, you're lucky you're only dealing with me right now. Just die peacefully, and you won't have to suffer the nightmare of the true God Killer!
as within both palms of Gogeta, suddenly, 2 dark energy balls would be generated, each one overflowing with power, as Black Lightning can't help but dance around the sphere.
Now just try and block these!
As instantly Gogeta would then, in almost a kamikaze style attack, rush straight down and head on with Dark, both energy balls in tow, eager to detonate them in close proximity.
Mindless animal!
But Dark, maintaining his cool, would just immediately find himself slowly being covered by what looks like at first dark energy tentacles. But regardless of whatever they were, once Gogeta's attack would land, the devastation would be simply horrific, creating a thunderous roar, shaking the very planet, as Black Lightning explodes into the sky, surrounding Gogeta's jet-like launch.
He got him!
Shocking your
Did he?
most
Did he
instantly
actually get him?
As the former
I don't
teacher
think
of
so.
the Fifth reels from the stunning
But let's see,
impact,
though. Let's see what
wondering if that was truly enough with that kind of power. And indeed, in the aftermath, a gigantic crater would be seen, with thick smoke rising into the air, covering our view of both Gogeta and Dark. But as we finally see a view of the Saiyan, it seems even Gogeta still can't see much from within the debris, as he comments,
Come on now! Show me that adorable face of yours! Angry?
but as the smoke would clear, suddenly a dark presence would reveal itself right in front of Gogeta. But it would not be the Fifth.
What on earth is that?
As suddenly, facing
that a
Gogeta
shield?
would be a giant ball of pure dark energy, perfectly spherical, without a hint of damage on it.
You insolent beast!
As revealing himself within
Actually kinda looks
the
kinda cool,
sphere
though, but I
would
guess
be
it's
a
like some kind of
triggered
shield, it
Dark,
looks like.
who stares down with rage at the Saiyan, continuing, I told you already. You are far too weak to ever damage me!
What?
As instantly, the goading would switch to straight offense,
Wait,
as
what
the
the-
dark tentacles from before would appear once more, but from the surface of the black protective sphere, rushing towards Gogeta with the singular aim of skewering him like a kebab.
Defense and offense, huh? Who do you think you are? Gara?
As quickly, Gogeta would step back before, with super speed and impeccable instincts, one by one, Gogeta, using his Seraphim Eye, would dodge each of Dark's penetrating attacks with ease, despite the unimaginable speed of them. But as Dark would continue his never-ending assault, and Gogeta would continue to dodge, he would soon come to observe more closely just what kind of energy was attacking him. As he comments mid-attack,
This energy, what is this? It doesn't feel divine.
before while thinking deeper, he would soon realize,
I understand why you call yourself Dark now. This energy is nothing but pure evil. Pure darkness. In other words, it's negative energy. Just like that one guy.
as behind Gogeta, he would soon begin to
Was he
remember
thinking of Omega?
an old foe
Oh no, he's
in
thinking
the
of
form
Janemba. Okay.
of Janemba.
In that case, I have just the thing for you.
As suddenly, within the palm of his hand, an extremely familiar and iconic energy ball would begin to formulate. And it, of course, would be the Stardust Breaker.
Okay.
Before now rushing down below to the black sphere of energy, continuing.
With this attack, I will erase every trace of your dark energy. Darkness cannot exist in the place of light. And I'm going to bring you back to how you used to be, kid.
What is that attack? Erase my darkness? Alarming Dark, who begins to open his sphere marginally to peek at what Gogeta is even talking about. Before, now not taking any chances, the entire sphere would dissipate to leave what looks like several offensive black tails behind him instead. Enough! If a head-on battle is what you desire, then so be it. Your power comes nowhere near mine! As in response, a deadly powered-up ball of energy of his
That looks
own
crazy,
would then
dude.
appear
That actually
within his
looks
palm.
strong.
White energy with a black center and surrounded in a violent dark aura to amplify it.
Dark! Mortal!
As the two would then rush straight in at each other, energy balls in hand, rather than throwing them, eager to face each other head on and decide truly who is the stronger combination of light and dark. And with a seismic collision, both would make impact, each with pure emotion on their faces, both seemingly putting in their all. And as the two unstoppable forces meet, all that can be seen from the outside is two massive auras smashing into one another, unmoving on impact as the planet around begins to fall apart.
This is the end for you, Dark!
And as Gogeta struggles to keep pushing, a quiet confidence would be heard in his voice. And that confidence would soon be explained, as on closer inspection, Dark would begin to notice his energy ball would begin to disappear ever so slightly.
Impossible! Fine, I shall unleash all of my darkness then!
Dark, knowing full well he still has only seemingly shown half of his power, would continue to just increase his energy, knowing ultimately there was no way his opponent could do the same.
What?
But as he does so, in that instant, his entire attack would erase in the face of the Stardust Breaker, as now only Gogeta's attack remains. And as the legendary fusion would push forward, Gogeta would just shout in imminent victory.
What's wrong, child? Increasing your dark energy not giving
Y'all
you the
keep calling
result
him
you
a kid.
expected? You fool! I told you already, this Stardust Breaker of mine is no ordinary attack. I used this once to erase a being of completely pure negative energy, known as Janemba. And all you've done by increasing your power has just made it easier for me to erase yours. You are done for, Dark! Janemba!
And as Dark's face becomes forcefully illuminated by the power of Gogeta's Stardust Breaker,
does he know who that
in
is?
his final moments, as he feels his body begin to erase too, all he can do is reflect on his foe's final words. This is the end of the 5th of the 5 strongest.
Oh, wow.
That is, at least it would have been, had suddenly Gogeta
are you
not
kidding me?
then
Oh my
defused in that very instant.
Yeah, bro, I wanted to see it.
Separating into 2 very confused and shocked Saiyans, 1 GT Vegeta and 1 GT Goku. As Dark just stands there, still alive, and his palms still stretched out.
He was
with
done
nothing
for.
within
Wow.
it.
Okay.
Damn it! Not again, Kakarot!
You've got to be kidding, Vegeta! Why do we always defuse at just the wrong time? As both GT counterparts would come to realize just what had
Vegeta can
happened
use his angel
and
staff to
react
give him
in
like some
pure
unlimited Patara
disappointment.
vest. I mean, fusion vest or something. Like, I don't know.
But meanwhile,
Oh,
Dark,
man.
watching on in silence and shell shock, would just be thinking to himself, a fusion, like the God Killer. Was he him the whole time? They nearly defeated me. The God Killer nearly added me to his list.
I will not stand for this!
As suddenly,
Oh, no,
triggering
Dark.
a deep rage within himself.
He was gonna be
and
on his
now
list.
completely having taken over Light to become Dark. The 5th would rush forward straight for the duo. Now with 2 energy balls in hand, more than enough to destroy GT Goku and Vegeta in an instant, let alone in their base forms. What? No! We have to do something! Causing Seraphim Goku to immediately react, while Vegeta would just yell back,
At that distance, they're done for, Kakarot! No!
and Vegeta would be right, as already Dark would be straight in their faces, as both Goku and Vegeta would just remain frozen in fear, and in many ways accepting their untimely fate. That would be the case until, out of nowhere, a suspiciously powerful and speedy beam of purple energy would strike Light right through the middle of his
Purple.
torso, leaving him
Who's that, Broly?
and indeed the rest of the Saiyans completely perplexed.
Whoa!
And as GT, Goku, and Vegeta would watch on, the beam would go
it's
far
probably
into the
Vegito
distance
now, huh?
and explode for devastating impact, leaving all wondering what had even happened. Who stepped in? Seraphim Goku, Yamoshi, Broly? But soon, a pair of boots begin to walk forward ominously.
Oh, that's Vegeta. Has to be. Yeah, there he is.
Kept you waiting, huh?
As unbelievably, out now finally from the Pyramid of Power, Ultra Vegito would emerge, his clothing ravaged, but with a giant smirk on his face, his hair black, but curiously, his eyes now blood red. with blood red lightning circulating his body. This may be the God Killer, but in no way, shape or form is he the same one that walked in 20 years ago.
Damn, 20. Wow, guys. There you guys have it, bro. Vegito just came out 20 years later from the Pyramid of Power. That is just so crazy. 20 years of training. That is just so crazy to think about. But I'm gonna rate this one a solid probably 8.8 once again. Bro, I mean, I'm thinking about it now, right? Gogeta could have destroyed Dark right there. Like, he was done for. He was actually done for. But maybe it's a good thing he didn't, because then he would have, like, basically got erased, right? Whereas, you know, Vegito most likely wants to absorb them, right? So, you know, maybe it was a good thing that he didn't, you know, destroy him, you know, erase him with the Stardust Breaker. So, maybe everything's gonna work out. I mean, Vegito's out, so I think this is done, right? Damn it. I mean, light or dark is definitely crazy, but you know, we'll just see what happens in the next episode. Of course, I'll see you guys in the next one. You know, stay safe, take care, and until then, peace out.